Hello, welcome, Marlene here. What to make, what to make? When I look out my window, it's so depressing. Summer is nowhere in sight. So I thought I'd revisit some past summer trends that were popular, and flamingos were quite a hit for a bit there. So who knows, maybe they'll be in again this summer and you'll be ready. I'm going to be making a flamingo cookie bouquet. I didn't really see too much flamingo cookie pops. And so that's what we're working on today, getting a flamingo on a stick and creating a really cute gift. And I just have to show you guys this cookie that I happened on. I mean, is this gorgeous or what? And so yeah, flamingos today. I'm working on my flamingo's wing. And here you can see this one, the icing kind of fell a bit. So you have to stay on the cookie or else gravity obviously will pull it down. And this shape is by Wilton. I really like this shape. I've used it for so many different projects. It's a pack of 3 different sizes. They're all the same, but this different size. And now I'm using a rose petal tip, and I've marked off the section I want to create the ruffle on. And if you look at the width, it's too wide for down here. So I'm angling kind of this way and then I'll pull straight. And I'm doing an M, like if you were doing M's like several times. And the narrow is out and here, and I'm just starting and then just back and forth, staying on the cookie. And then when I get to the end here, I'm pulling out, and you can just use your fingers to kind of pull the icing to the end of the point there. And now I'm using a damp brush to just smooth this edge because I'm going to be adding icing here, and I just want the seam to be a bit better. And then I'm using my boo-boo stick to just kind of rough up the icing, since this is supposed to be a feather, or a wing I should say. There. And that's it. And we're going to fill this in after it has had time to dry a little bit. One of the easiest way to glam up a cookie is to add some edible sparkle to it. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm filling in a slightly lighter pink. I'm filling in the rest of the cookie here. I'm just outlining and flooding the bottom of the wing. And then I'm adding my little sprinkles to this wet icing. It's a bit labor intensive, and you don't have to add as many as I'm adding. You could just add a few. I'm going to pick up my cookie here to just smooth it out. There, and here are the sprinkles. Sorry to say, I don't really have a vendor to refer for these. They were a gift from Miri of Shepik's Cookies. I don't know if she sells them, but she brought me a whole bunch of them when she came to visit last summer. And with your needle, you can just dunk it in a bit of icing, and that makes it sticky. You just put a little bit of icing, and then you can pick up these suckers, because if you have to place them with your hands, even if you were using tweezers, this is the way to do it. You just touch the icing, and that's all that's needed to kind of get one to stick onto the needle. And then you can really place it exactly where you want it. And there is a quick run through of how I make my cookie pops. When I roll out my dough and my dough is raw, I take the stick I plan on using and I press it and make a little imprint, then I freeze them. And then when I bake them, I lay my stick on the cookie sheet and lay the cookie on top, and I bake them like this. So when they come out the oven, I have a little spot to put my stick. Then when I put them together, I put some stiff icing there, secure the stick, and decorate the back of the cookie. I'm left with a stick, on one side cookie, on the other side icing. I've never had a cookie pop fall apart. And now I'm adding the beak to my flamingo. I'm working in white. I decided I wasn't going to mix black icing for such a small area. So just white, and I cannot find my black pearls. No idea what the heck I did with them. And so I'm just using the silver ones that I have. And I want this kind of rounded. And now I'm just dropping in the pearl into the wet icing. If you're working with these types of sugar pearls for an eye, I really find it looks better if you press it in the wet icing. Two things happen while it's very well secured. It's not going to fall off. And when you put it on top of dry icing, it looks like the eyes are bulging. I don't personally love that look. Let's put this together. I'm just now adding a bit of icing to this opening right there. And then we're just pressing that in. And then some stiff icing here to secure the wing on. It's difficult because my wing icing isn't completely dry. You see, I just messed it up right there. I'm just going to let it set up a bit before moving on. Having trouble film this step. Now, why the order? So if I flood the whole flamingo and then add the wing after, well, I have to wait for the flamingo to dry before I can press on it. And then I'm going to have to wait again for the wing to dry. So it's just a lot of waiting. Whereas this way, I've attached the wing, pressed it onto the bare cookie, and now I'm flooding the rest. So I'm just waiting this one time. And there's less icing on the actual cookie. So I'm adding my icing right at the edge of where they meet, and then outlining the cookie itself. Here is a bit tricky just because the placement of that wing. Fill all this in. And here. And we're going to let this dry, and then we'll be able to assemble the bouquet. I'm finalizing the flamingo here, and I'm just adding some pink on the beak, just like to create a bit of a shade coming out. When I've looked at real flamingos, it has like pink kind of coming out in between the white and the black. So I'm just doing like a blush in this area here. Just like that. I don't think it's necessary to use black icing for the beak. If you can save yourself mixing a batch. I'm just using a marker here, and about like just the end, I'm coming in just like that. And I don't want to do such a straight line. I thought I'd make an accent cookie to go with my flamingos, just to break up all that pink. Here is my palm tree. I cut off the actual like wood part. This is just the leaves, and I'm just securing that stick. I did exactly the same thing as I did with the flamingos. I pressed my stick in the dough, and now I've got a leaf tip in. And I've put 2 shades of green in here just to make it a little bit more interesting. And I'm just, it's stiffish icing, and I'm just adding the sections to my palm tree here. And when I get to the end, I'm just pulling. And if you don't like it, you can just pinch it a little bit to get it pointy. And skip the sections. Mind you, it doesn't matter here. We're just gonna go each section now. Because when you add the coconuts, it fills up. So here, the little section like that. Here, let's do this one. There. And my final section up here. There. And now in the wet icing, I'm squishing in some, I have some gold, kind of, they look like M&Ms. And if you have M&Ms, chocolate M&Ms, the brown ones would make some nice coconuts as well. And I'm not using all the same size. I find that looks interesting. And the gold is just going to add, this is supposed to be a gift or for a party, just makes it a little fancier. Here is the completed cookie pop. In some cases, the cutter shapes I've seen for the Flamingo, the legs are really kind of small, narrow, and prone to breakage. So this might be a good alternative. You could wrap this in a clear cello bag and add a pretty teal or blue ribbon. Since they're water birds, that might be very kind of cute to match together. Here is the assembled cookie bouquet, and you can see there the palm trees in the back. I just like the green. It breaks up all this pink and it just fits perfectly together. I like to use odd numbers when assembling the bouquet. So here I have 7 cookies, and I also like to use a heavy pot. This is a terracotta pot that was painted. The fact that the cookie is on the end of the stick, well, it makes the bouquet very top heavy. And so if you have a light kind of cardboard or tin base, the whole thing will topple over. So that's kind of important. If you really want to use something that's light, maybe weight it down with some rocks or something like that. You're going to need to add a foam kind of base to the arrangement, a little bit like flower arranging. If you just put the flowers in a vase, well, they're going to flop all different ways. So if you want them to really stay into position, you need to get some floral foam, and that holds them in place. Well, cookie pop arrangements are the same. If you want them really kind of to stay positioned, you need to have some styrofoam in there that holds them in place. The styrofoam ball or the styrofoam base that you choose is often not that pretty, so you'll want to hide that. Here I'm using some blue crepe paper that I thought was a perfect match for these particular cookies. Last but not least, you're going to want to wrap these cookies. You want to keep them fresh and clean. So you can either individually wrap them in smaller cellophane bags, or you can wrap the whole bouquet. But it is important to wrap it if you are giving this as a gift. And also if you're having them as centerpieces at a party, people will touch them. People are fascinated by sugar cookies, so you're going to get touching and stuff, which isn't that great if anybody plans on eating them later. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. Thanks so very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.